heads up, today's video is a little bit of a rant. If you enjoy flexing and designer items are your thing, please don't watch this video because you are going to be so offended and I don't want to offend anyone. In today's video, we are discussing / ranting about social media influencers who flex upon their audiences and the effect that that has upon their followers. A huge thank you to this video's sponsor, Omaze. Omaze is an online fundraising platform offering campaigns and merchandise in support of charitable causes. So Omaze run amazing online sweepstakes. You can make a donation and enter to win some amazing prizes. So the current charity that Omaze is fundraising for is Conservation International. For more than 30 years, Conservation International has worked tirelessly to protect nature for the benefit of us all. Conservation International works at every level, from remote villages to the offices of presidents and CEOs, to move societies towards a healthier, more sustainable path. By supporting Conservation International, you'll help safeguard the world's essential oceans, coastal biodiversity, and ecosystems, ensuring that we don't use up today what we're going to need tomorrow. So if you'd like to enter to be in the running to win an amazing prize and also have your donation go towards helping out Conservation International in the process, you can donate $10 and be entered for your chance to win. Now, what's the prize, you ask? The prize is an amazing holiday to Santorini. You could win this luxurious vacation overlooking the sea. You'll get flown out to Santorini for 7 days, 6 nights at a 5-star hotel. You get $3,000 to help you explore. You get your own private pool and sea view balcony to help you relax. You can spend a luxurious week soaking in postcard-worthy views, plenty of sun, sangria, and relaxation, which honestly to me sounds like my idea of heaven. So if Conservation International sounds like a charity that you might want to donate towards, and a trip to Santorini sounds like something nice to win in the process, I will put the link to donate and enter in the description box down below, or you can head to amaze.com/Steph to enter. Hello everyone. This is probably the only product I'm going to talk about in detail, but that's because this is my own product. This is the eyeshadow palette that I've made. Look how bloody beautiful it is. I'm so proud of it. This is what I'm going to be using on my eyes, and I'm also going to be using this contour shade for my lack of cheekbones, and I'm going to use the highlight as well. Just in case you guys are wondering what I'm putting on my face, this is it. I'll link it in the description box down below for you guys. This whole subject has been irking me for the longest time, but I was like, no, don't do it. You'll just come across as bitter or like preachy, which, you know what? I'm probably still going to come across like that, but what can I do? Tiffany Ferg and Smoky Glow have both done like extremely good videos on this topic as well, so I'll link them in the description box down below too, next to my palette. So you know these super expensive items like the luxury designer bags, the ridiculously fancy flashy cars, Cartier bangles all up your wrist? That kind of stuff used to be reserved for the super wealthy or the rich and famous. But I feel like with the rise of social media, every man, woman, and child, dog down the road, and cat next door feels like they need to have these luxurious designer items to show that they are worth something as a person and to show that they are successful and that they have made it. Social media influencers make it look like this is like an attainable, normal, expected thing to own such expensive, extravagant material items. And if you don't live up to that and you don't own these items, it can leave you feeling like pure about yourself. I don't have anything against designer items or expensive items or anybody that wants them. I want to make that abundantly clear. If you want these items for your own personal reasons, or you just really like the look of them, or you genuinely would be proud to own one, then all power to you. That's completely your prerogative. But where the problem lies nowadays is the fact that social media can make you feel like you need these items to feel validated, or like you should have these items if you are at all a self-respecting human, and that you're failing at life or you're not successful if you don't have these items. I remember when I was in my early 20s and living in Edinburgh, I saved, like I was working full time, and I saved my ass off because there was a handbag that I really wanted in River Island. It was this beautiful black quilted River Island bag, and I wanted it so badly. And for me, that was a really expensive handbag. I think it was like 70 pounds or something like that. So I saved for it and I bought it, and I absolutely wore that handbag to death. There's absolutely no way back then I could have ever afforded a designer handbag. And social media wasn't even a thing back then. I mean, we had MySpace and we had Facebook, but we didn't have Instagram. We didn't have any influencers kind of shoving their expensive purchases in your face back then. And had I had that and set that expectation for myself, I probably would have tried to buy the designer handbag instead, and there's no way I could have afforded it. So there is a high chance I would have, you know, put it on a credit card or something like that. And that's where it would have gotten really unhealthy really quick. Now, again, it wouldn't be such a problem if these influencers kind of emphasize the fact that you can save your hard-earned money and you can purchase that Chanel boy bag if you really want it. And then you can wear that handbag to death, like literally wear it until it falls apart at the seams, or wear it until you're 80 years old and then you hand it down to your granddaughter. The problem lies in the fact that one handbag is now never enough. Like, how can you possibly flex on social media if you only have one designer handbag? You need to have 10, and it needs to be the newest, the latest, the most trendy designer handbag, and it needs to be super expensive, and you need everybody to know that it was super expensive in order to flex. And like, that might make these influencers feel good about themselves, and it might validate them, but what kind of effect is that having on their followers? I've literally never been into designer things. Like, it's not my thing. I tried to get into it for a while, thinking like, I should like these things, I should want these items. And to be completely honest with you guys, when I first started getting like successful and became an influencer, I'm sorry, I hate that word too, but just for the purpose of this video, so you guys know what I'm talking about, I felt like I should want these items, and like that I should be in pictures or at events wearing a designer handbag. I literally did go out and I bought like a few designer items, thinking that I would look more successful, or that people might respect me more if they saw me carrying like a Louis Vuitton bag. And these items didn't make me happy. In fact, they made my bank account really unhappy because, to be completely honest, I couldn't afford these items. But I was buying them because I thought I should have them, because that's what, you know, any self-respecting woman of like her late 20s should own. But the thing is, I had bills to pay, I had rent to pay, I couldn't afford to drop $1,000 at a time on a handbag, and yet I was doing it anyway. And they weren't making me happy, and I didn't even really have an interest in them. The point I'm trying to make is, even me, who's kind of in the social media realm, and I see everything that happens behind closed doors, and I know that these influencers, not all of them, but a lot of them, actually go into debt to maintain this illusion of a luxurious lifestyle. I know all that goes on, and yet I also got sucked into it thinking that I should own these things to feel validated as a person. I was buying these items to fit in with the cool crowd, and when I look back, it's like I knew better, and yet I still got sucked in. And you know what? It's not even just adults nowadays that are kind of getting sucked into this whole social media flexing realm. It's literally children and teenagers too. Once upon a time, teenagers would be happy just to have like, you know, the latest cool surf gear, speaking as an Australian here, to go to a party in. And that dress or that t-shirt might have cost, I don't know, bloody $30 or $40. But now you've got teenage influencers on Instagram, people like Olivia Jade, for example, or Emma Chamberlain, flexing their wealth to their teenage following, making their teenage audience feel like they should have these items too. So now you've got 14-year-olds feeling like they need the latest Louis Vuitton handbag. And obviously, most regular 14-year-olds can't afford that kind of, you know, designer item. So who does the pressure fall on? It falls on their parents or Santa Claus. When I was 14, I didn't even know what Gucci or Louis Vuitton or Chanel or Cartier, I didn't even know what any of that was. When I was 14, I was desperate for the newest Billabong t-shirt so I could look cool at school. And even my parents didn't get me that. I would get t-shirts from Best and Less. I cannot imagine the reaction I would get from my parents if at 14 I was demanding a Gucci handbag. But it's literally not even their fault. They're seeing this on their mainstream media, which is Instagram, and it makes them feel like they should own these items, like it's a normal thing to own, and it's absolutely not. Social media and the influencers that these teenagers follow has them feeling like everybody and the cat down the road owns these items, and why don't they? You know, back in the day when YouTube first started, you had these beauty gurus, makeup artists that everybody adored because they were so relatable. Like, they were just like us, and you know, they would film a video and we were like, oh my god, you're just like me, I can totally relate to you, I adore you. And then social media and YouTube kind of blew up, and these influencers came into a lot of money, and then they started shopping at Chanel, and even that wasn't enough. They also had to enter via the back entrance of Chanel because they were now celebrities. Jaclyn Hill, I'm looking at you. And suddenly these influencers weren't so relatable anymore, or we feel like we should still be able to relate to them, so we should be shopping at Chanel, entering via the back entrance as well. You know, you've got people like Jeffree Star, all these big makeup influencers, they are all insanely rich. Jaclyn Hill's wardrobe is the size of my living room. What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna go in with this shade Storm, the deep brown. Now, on the other hand, you've got channels like In The Fro, Lydia Elise Millen, Tamara Kalanick. Did I say that right? And even though I'm like absolutely not into designer stuff, like it's just not my thing, I still enjoy those channels. Like, I still enjoy In The Fro, and I still enjoy Lydia Millen because I like kind of their more lifestyle, motivational based content, but they do absolutely promote a luxurious, high-end designer lifestyle to their followers. But what people need to realize is that channels like these, they get a lot of these items gifted to them by the company, so they're literally not even paying for them, or they get them at heavily discounted prices in return return for promotion, which is absolutely fine. Like, that's their niche, that's what they do. Like, you go to their channel expecting that. And I just want to make it clear, I've got absolutely nothing against either of those two girls. I think they're awesome. But the problem starts when people watching channels like that feel like they should have a new designer handbag every week and that they're failing at life if they don't. Or they feel bad about themselves if they don't have these designer items and they can only afford River Island. One thing I like about Lydia though, for example, is she makes it clear that she actually purchases these handbags as investments. So like, some people invest in property, some people invest in the stock market. Lydia does all that, I suppose, but she also invests in handbags, and she makes it clear that if she doesn't get use out of one handbag, she will sell it and make her money back. Now, obviously, Lydia is in a position that she can actually afford all these different handbags, and she can sell them on if she doesn't get use out of them. However, it's when people can't afford these luxury items, but feel like they should purchase them, so they do purchase them either on a credit card, or they go into debt to purchase them, or they skip paying their bills or buying food in order to keep up with these influencers because they feel like they should be doing that. That's when this all becomes a problem. And the people that watch these channels, they don't get the same luxury as the influencers. They don't get the handbags given to them for free, and they don't get the handbags heavily discounted in return for promotion. So it's just not really fair. Half the time these influencers you see flexing on social media, their designer stuff is not even real. It's a bloody fake. I actually didn't believe that myself until I saw a friend of mine who is on social media, and she was wearing a Gucci belt, and I was like, I really like your belt. And she was like, thanks, don't tell anyone, it's fake. And I was just like, she had been wearing this belt on social media, showing this belt off, and a lot of other designer stuff as well, might I add. And I would have never thought that she had the audacity to show off fake stuff on her Instagram as though it was real. But upon talking to her, she made it clear to me that all the designer stuff she has is actually fake. And her point was, why would she spend all her money on these designer items when she could get the same thing, according to her, for a fraction of the price? Because to be fair to her, so many counterfeit, fake designer items these days look exactly and feel exactly the same as the real designer pieces. However, and this is what I said to her as well, I was like, if you want to do that, absolutely do that. Like, she's my friend, I'll love her, whatever she decides to do. But I was like, just be careful, because a lot of these counterfeit fake designer products, they're made in extremely cheap conditions in, you know, China and places like that. They use cat and dog leather. Like, that's horrifying in itself, but also the chemicals that go into making these really cheap counterfeit products can be extremely toxic to the human body. So you've got to be so careful. And that's another problem with Instagram influencers flexing on social media, is it's fueling the rise of this counterfeit market. And designer items, to their credit, obviously they're made well, like they're made to last the majority of the time, and they're also made to higher standards, whereas these counterfeit items, they're cheap for a reason. You know, people like Jeffree Star, Kylie Jenner, who else is super rich? Jaclyn Hill, I'm sorry to Jaclyn Hill for keep using her as an example. They have so many designer items, like their walk-in living rooms, closets are so full of designer shoes and designer handbags and bloody designer everything. These people have so many designer items that how could you possibly like covet or treasure all of them? Buying a designer item must feel to them the way that going to Tesco, and buying groceries feels to me. People like Jeffree Star, for example, like I'm not a huge fan of Jeffree Star. In fact, I'm not a fan of Jeffree Star at all, but I get that a lot of people like him. I feel like being rich and being able to purchase these designer items is literally their persona. How shallow is that? Like, literally imagine part of your personality is that you can afford material items. But I personally just feel like there's so much more to life than trying to accumulate as many expensive material items as you can. I've got a bad feeling I may have seriously f***ed my eyebrows. They look a bit like they've been electrocuted. So what my whole point of this video actually boils down to, because you guys are probably like, Stephanie, but what's your point? The point is that I'm not a luxury item or designer hater, and if that's your thing and that's what you enjoy, then you can totally disregard everything I'm saying, and this video is not for you. My point is that for me and other people that are feeling pressured to kind of keep up with the Joneses and like live this lifestyle, it's not really for them, and they don't really have the funds to even spend on trying to keep up with this designer luxury lifestyle. Are these material items actually going to make you happier? Is social media and these influencers literally fueling our obsession of finding our self-worth and self-value in the objects that we are able to accumulate or the objects that we are able to afford? Is a handbag really going to make you happy? Are a pair of shoes with a red sole really going to make you satisfied? I personally feel like, and feel free to totally disagree with everything I'm saying, and please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I feel like we are overcomplicating things, and what should be like a happy, simple life, I feel like we, with social media and with all these outside influencers, we feel like we need more and more and more, and we're just overcomplicating our lives so much in order to accumulate material items. Do you have a roof over your head? I do. Do you have food in your kitchen and a full belly? I do. If you answered yes to either of those questions, then you are already living a way more luxurious life than so many people on this planet. Like I said, although I'm not a designer hater, and if you like that, go for it. But instead of buying designer items to impress other people and to make it look like you are successful or like you've made it or like you are validated or worth something as a person, how about we just don't give a if we impress people or not? I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't let social media or influencers tell you that if you don't have a walk-in wardrobe the size of somebody's apartment, or if you don't own 10 Chanel bags or a pair of Jimmy Choos or a Gucci belt, that you are not worth something as a person. And don't feel bad about yourself if you can't afford these items. These items are not the pinnacle of success. These material objects do not define your worth as a human. Instagram and YouTube and social media, these are people putting an illusion out there. Like, you don't know if this person's designer items that they're flaunting and flexing in front of you, you don't know, are they real or are they fake? Are they counterfeit? You don't know if this influencer is in like 100 grand of debt trying to maintain this luxurious lifestyle. And yet it's so easy to compare yourself to that and feel crap about yourself. But you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So never, ever, ever compare yourself to what you see online. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!